every single tool, but your toolbar is all along here. If you hover over them, it tells you what they do. Photoshop or Adobe are so good at making things easy to use and understanding, and it's getting better and better all the time. So we will be using some of these functions. One of the things I tell everyone to have on is, if you go to Window and you go to here, Navigator, I always have this Navigator clicked. So if you go to Window, Navigator, opens this thing up here. This is like that magnifying glass. So instead of going to your magnifying glass and zoom, all you have to do is turn this and it pushes you right in. And then you get your thing, your square, and you can move it wherever you want around the picture. And it's so convenient for just getting to a point. You want to look at that blackcurrant or bramble, what are they called those? Blackcurrant? Blackberry, that's it. So you wanted to look at that really closely. This is a great way of doing it, and it's quick, and it's always there. I always have it there ready to use, if you get what I mean. So on your screens, it'll either float or it'll sit in here, and it's Navigator. So this next bit here is where we do the layers. So all I can say about layers, or how I see layers, is it's a way of not ruining that image. So that's our image there, and we don't want to ruin that image. That image needs to stay exactly right. If I start playing around with filters up here and start changing stuff, it changes that image. So it destructs your image basically, and then you have to go back. Whereas if you make layers, it means that you're not wrecking your image. And I teach this to young people, and this is how I explain layers. So you get a piece of paper, like your notebook like that, and imagine that's your image. That's the base image we've got here, and then every time you lay a layer, it drops a layer over the top, like, yeah. And when we speak about masks, I'll explain the mask. So every time you lay something on top, it's laying it on top. So one of the first things I'll look at here is the image isn't straight, so the image needs straightening up. So I'm making a quick adjustment to it, because I know for a fact some of the other images I'm not going to use. If I was doing a landscape, I might keep it exactly right, because I'm going to use other images, which we'll see in a bit later on. But I don't know if everyone agrees, that image looks a bit squiff. It doesn't matter, because we'll straighten it now. So if you go to the crop tool, so the crop tool's there, and then if you go up to the top here, it'll change the orientation from it being like that to being like this. And then we're going to adjust this a little. So the orientation's at the top. See these two buttons there? It just switches basically these are the settings. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to crop into it, because obviously we don't want to see this and this. And when we crop in, suddenly the image won't look like it's an issue. The only reason there's an issue is because you've got this line. So we're actually going to change the aspect ratio as well. So we're actually going to change that. So you can change the shape of almost like a framer's. And we're going to change it. I need my glasses because I cannot read that. Let me get my glasses on. Honestly, I can't. So we're going to change it to 4, 5, and we're going to swing it round like that. So that's now chopping off the unwanted bits. And also, I'm not so keen on this front, so we can bring it in a bit. So I'm here, it was like that, and I've just got rid of the edge of the table. So I don't want to see any of the table, but I want to see all my fruits. And suddenly, when I crop it, we're not cropped it yet, suddenly the image doesn't look like there's anything wrong with the image now, as in the sides, if you know what I mean. So if we're all happy with that, just press enter and it'll chop it.
Can you use that tick as well, or do you?
You can tick there.
Yeah. Yes.
There you go. So I've got a little edge on mine, so I just click on it again and make a slight adjustment again, just so the edge is gone. And the other great thing is, once you're off this, if you use because sometimes when you're using your mouse, it's a little bit too much. If you use the arrow keys you can make really fine adjustments moving up and down. Look at that, see how the adjustments I'm moving are so minimal, and you can be dead accurate then, go right, I want it exactly there. What I'm looking at as well when I'm doing this is rule of thirds. I want that jug to be on that line. That's the composition that I've created with this image. You've got a nice flow going up to this jug. Yeah. So I'll crop that now. I'm pretty pleased with how that looks, and I've not had to make any adjustments. The other thing that I'm going to do is make sure this table is level. See, there's a table at the back, and what I do there is, if you go to the top of the image, tell me if everyone's up to speed. If you go to this ruler at the top and you hold your mouse down and pull it down, you get a ruler, and it's a pretend ruler, so it's not on the image. And if you pull it down, it's almost like an horizon line. So if you want to see if something's level, it's almost like a spirit level.
Can I bring the ruler up by pressing R?
View. Oh yeah, if you go to view,
Yeah.
and it's got rulers there, click that. I was on the wrong one. If you look on the screen, so you'll get.
Yeah, so there is a shortcut, it's command.
Yeah, but I just have it on because it doesn't take anything out. So I've pulled that down, and now I'm just zooming in to see whether that table is looking straight or not.
So where do you pull from?
You just go to the ruler and then just click on the ruler and pull down, and you get a little line.
Why have I got some image that starts
Because you got to push this up. Your controller's gone too far. Go. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's your zoom in and out. That.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're basically just looking to see, is the image level, and this works really well for landscapes. So if you do your landscapes, it's a great way of finding out if.
And if it's not, can you adjust it?
Yeah. So how you can adjust it is, if you go back onto here and click this, and if you go to the corner, see it's making them arrows. You look on the screen where I am. If you go down, it makes this little arrow, and then you can, if you click on it, it means you can rotate the image around. Yeah. So then you can.
On the ruler, when you click view,
Yeah.
you go down and you click the rulers, right?
Yeah.
That's got rid of it.
Yeah.
So click it, bring it back on.
Yeah.
Right, so what's the action to fix this line then?
You just go on the ruler there and hold your finger down, pull down.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And it's the same to get rid of it. So this ruler is nothing to do with your image, it's just a guide. So then if you want to get rid of it because it's a horrible blue line, you just get the ruler again and you just pull it up and push it out and take it away and it's gone. So it's a great way of seeing if the image is level or not. So I'm going to crop mine. I'm doing it quite. And everyone tell me if you're up to speed.
I can't pick that blue line up. How do you pick the blue line up?
You just go to the side of it, on here, that side, and you'll get two lines. You've gone off. Oh, should work. Let's just see what we've got. If it doesn't work, go onto the crosshair and then it'll allow you to take it off. So you can take it off now. Okay, we all up to speed with that? Yeah. Right, so now we're going to go into layers and start creating layers to change this image. So the first thing I do when I'm doing my layers, the very first thing I do is make a new layer. If you look on the screen, if you go to the plus sign and we make a new layer, so that's made a completely new layer that we can put stuff on. So if we're just imagining the layers, we've put a piece of paper on the top of it that's transparent, and we're going to put stuff on it. We're actually not going to do that. We're going to actually take from it. So what I'm now going to do is look at the image and think, what are the bits in this image that I want to get rid of? So what are all the things? So I'm really not into all, don't mind that reflection, but there's bits of crumbs and stuff like that. I really don't like that on the table, so we're going to fix that. We're going to fix this line as well. So if we go to the left and we go to this tool here, which is called the spot healing tool, and people might know what this is. So you go to the spot healing tool, and the settings at the top. So every time you have a tool, you have all these settings at the very top. Just make sure everyone's settings are the same. And when I do it, this is quite important, this top bit here, the brush size, you don't want it to be hard, you want it to be soft.
Is that's spot healing rather than brush healing?
Spot healing, yeah. Did I say brush healing?
No, you said spot.
It'll see what mine says, because they might have changed it. Spot healing brush tool, so it's the same. So you see what it says on the top. So run that, and then when we click on it, you've got all these options at the top. So you want it to be content aware here, so that one's clicked, and you want this brush setting. It's really important. It's not sharp. It's you know, the edges. When you click on there, it has the size of the brush and the hardness. Now my hardness is at 46.
So just I've not got the content aware. This top bar.
Mode, it would be under there. If you, are you on the right one?
That one.
No, it's that one. It's that one.
This one?
Yeah, it's that one.
Right.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're on it now. Your hardness is really hard. That's what you need to change. So if you click that little round circle, see where I am on the screen?
Yeah.
And then click that, and I'm on 46 I'm on. Just as a guide.
What size of brush are you on as well?
The brush, well, we're going to change the brush,
Okay.
so that doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. So if you run that, click off. So we've all got the brush, and the important thing is the brush isn't really sharp. And then on your on your computer, it's got the brackets which are next to the P.
Yeah.
If you press the brackets, it makes the brush go smaller and bigger. Yep, you get that, the brackets. So if you add it with me, it's just dead quick. Is everyone all right doing that?
No.
Yours not having it? Oh, it's because you still got that on. You need to be off that. You just click anywhere off the screen now, it'll work. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you see that's
Yeah.
going up. I'm looking at also get rid of that because you don't want that in the way. Yeah. So if you want to make your thing bigger, you do that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go around the image, and we're just going to. The other good, if you zoom in. Oh. Okay, you've already started editing now. Is it true? Make sure you're on the right layer. It's really important. Yeah, you're on the right. Make sure you're on your layer. You need see this layer here. You really need to be on. If you're on that, you're gonna be destructing your image. You really need to be on that layer 1. What we'll do is we'll label it as well to make it easy. So if you double click that layer 1, and we put, what should we put? I'm going to call it delete, DEL, for deleting bits. So we're going to get rid of stuff.
When you zoomed to get that section of the image,
Yeah.
how have you brought it up so that it's the bottom part of the screen?
Right. So look on, zoom in. You see the box in your, look at that. See that?
Thank you.
You just move that around. That's how quick it is. You think, right, we're going to be affecting that.
Got it.
You zoom in, and you can see where you want to put your thing. It's so quick how that works.
Yeah.
And we're going to go round the whole image and get rid of what we don't want.
Okay.
So when we're on our pen now, we're on this, we're on that. What I suggest is, see that little crumb there that I want to get rid of? It's best to make it as small as you can to get rid of it. I go about there, click on it, gone. Yeah. So see this line here is a line on the table. I don't like it. You just click, hold your finger down and run your mouse over it, let go, gone. So you're basically going round. I'm getting rid of all the scratches on the table. There, gone, gone. This big scratch here, just run down there and round, gone. Right, this...
It's not removing on mine.
It's got content aware, hasn't it?
Oh, it's got content aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Glasses, have a look on this side, see where you are.
That's where I am.
Yeah. You're on that, you're on that, let me have a look.
So I've got on that crumb. On that crumb, right? On 4 layers. Right.
There. Make sure sample all layers is clicked.
So you want it to sample the layer below, and basically we're going to go round to a point where everyone's happy and get rid of all the bits on the picture that you don't like. And this can be annoying or it can be dead satisfying. I find it dead satisfying, I like it. See this big mark here? We're going to do something different for that big mark, so don't worry about that. And some of these coffee stains, don't worry about them. Let's just deal with all the little bits of crumbs and stuff like that.
What is your keystroke that changes the size of the brush?
It's brackets.
Yeah.
So you need to be off that.
Yeah.
If you go off that now, you can use the brackets and make sure the size of you.
Okay.
So when I'm working, I've got my fingers on the brackets constantly whilst I'm moving around, and I'm just going round dead quick, going right, want rid of that. And then if I move, see how I'm moving around my image, I'm using this box. So it's like a dead quick process to go, right, I want to get rid of that, want to get rid of that, move up the picture. You don't like that on the grape, and then that, don't want that in. So there's loads of little bits on these grapes that I don't like the look of, so I'll click them all off. And I'm not going to do everything because we'll be here all day, it'll take loads of time, but we'll do a few and then maybe do all the crumbs off the table.
There's crumbs on this table.
I know, yeah.
Have you done anything with digestion?
And this is another good thing, when you're doing it, you'll start, if you're doing anything like these still lifes or anything, you'll think clean the bloody table so you don't have to do it. This is actually really good for this workshop. See that there? I really don't like the colour of that. We're going to change that. So we're going to change that colour, just getting rid of all these little marks. And Photoshop's doing a proper good job of it, isn't it, as well? Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed any of the like markings that are around the table and reflections, it's actually keeping them in when we're doing it. A little bit of hair on there. Some on this vase, there's loads of defects. I don't mind that. If you can look at what I'm doing, I don't mind that on the spout, but I don't like all these little dots. It's like little tiny little imperfections on it, and I'm going to take them away. And I'm being dead quick, really. I'm not going to spend loads of time on it, really. Just giving you an idea of what I do. So you could, in your own time, because you're going to have these pictures, you could carry on doing this on this layer. You could go back to this and go, right, I'm going to really clean it all up. So see all this, it's all up to you. Do you want all these scratches on the grapes, or do you want to get rid of them? It's down to what you want, really. Like that bit of black on the apple, I'm not really keen on that, just take it away. But like I said, some people get annoyed at doing this. I really find it dead therapeutic. I really like it. And what's nice is, you know, when you go out of the image, say you go to the table and you go to your layer, the eye there, if you click on and off, look, it's I find that when you can see what you've done. So if you turn the eye off, it means it's switched off, and then when you turn it back on again, oh, you've done the wrong one. Click that, click it back on, and then go to the top one. The top one's the one you've took all the, yeah. So you can see the work you've done on your deleted layer. So now I'm gonna start looking at, see that line, I'm gonna actually try and get rid of that line. Let's see how well it does. So I'm just gonna draw a line all the way along this line here. And
With the same brush.
yeah, with the same brush, and I'm just gonna see how well it's dealt with it. So it's still got a bit on there, but it's not bad. Sometimes I go over it again to see, so if I click off and on, you can see whether it's done a good job or not. That's pretty good, that. I'm not bothered about that. That little dot there, I'm going to address that dot. That's good. So when I click off and on with the eye, I'm quite pleased with that. So now I'm going to deal with this.
Clicking on with the eye again,
Yeah, look on the screen on there. See the eye there. There's what you're working on.
yeah.
Click on that, and it basically.
Oh, yeah, you just take that layer off, don't you?
Yeah, it just turns that layer off.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's brilliant for seeing what you've done. It's like, oh, that's, and seeing whether it's worked or not. So now,
Regarding the large stain, did you say we're going to use
this, I'm going to do something different now. Right, so the spot healing brush, the computer does the brains behind it. It analyses the image underneath and then puts the relevant pixels in. Whereas what we're going to do now is slightly different. So any big areas that I want to change, I don't use the spot healing brush. I use something else. And what it is this clone stamp. So you go onto the clone stamp, which is a little stamp thing. Yeah, and it'll have exactly the same. It'll have exactly the same function. If you look at the top, it'll have the brush, and I keep the brush to the same size. And what you do with the stamp is you clone another part of your image and drop it over the top of something that you want. So for this table, I want to copy this here and put it there. Yeah. So I'm going to see the size of that. So I'm looking at that and thinking, if I copy, moving this up a bit, if I copy there and move it to there, would it work? Yeah, and I'm also going to make a new layer for this. So if we just do that first, we go to new layer, and then we're going to name that layer stamp. Yeah. So if I copy this, what happens is around that circle it copies that as well. So what you can get is go to the front. Should have had a laser. Have I got a laser pen? I don't think I have. What happens is, because I can't show you on that because it'll. What happens is it copies, as well as that central bit, it copies a fringe around the edge as well. So I'm aware I'm close to that and also close to this. So if I copy that and move it across, it will duplicate some of that there, which I don't want. So what I do is, I shrink it so that it's got a bit of, oh, can't even read that. That's okay. So I'm shrinking it so that it only copies this bit and it's not being interfered with them. And I have to remember what I press now. Bear with me when I do this. I can't even see on this.
Option. So do you select where you're taking it
Yeah.
from?
So see, I'm pressing this button and I'm pressing Control, and on a Mac, I think. Let's see what it is on the Mac.
It's option.
I think it's Alt.
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 Let me just see what's happening on
Really,
yours.
it's an alt on that, it's option.
Go on, press it. Yeah, you get that. So that's where you're going to sample from. So if you look at, use the circle as the guide because it goes off when you press it, if you get what I mean. So then we're going to click where you want to sample, and then you move over to where you want it to be. Mine's not that. Mine's not, hold on a minute. There it is, yeah, I've got it. So you sample it, and then you move over, and you notice it's taking, see what mine's doing? It's wherever you sample. So I've sampled that, and now it's moving it over here, and you see it's a ghost. Yeah. So you can line this brown black line up and go, oh, that looks all right there. And I press it, and it'll put it on for me. And then I can move it up again, click it, and it'll move it in again, and then one more time there, and it's done it. Now look at that. Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Alright, I got mine really well.
I'll come to the KFC.
You just look, I need my glasses to see what's happening. You're on the stand. Yep. That's all good, it's because you're so big and massive.
Oh,
That's why. Yeah, you're so big, that's why.
yeah,
So
I've got
if
it.
you're moving down, you get a sample in this area,
Yeah.
and when you sample, you press the not command, not control, option. You're getting that, and then when you click on it, you click it, it'll copy it, and see it's copying it, so you can move it on. And you just click it once, and then move through till you've got. See if I clicked it there, it looked weird,
Yeah.
but you can see the.
Yeah. With the grain.
Yeah, exactly. Is everyone all right with that?
Do I need to take the old property down? 'Cause what?
No. That's it.
This is clone stamp, isn't it?
This is clone stamp,
Right.
yeah. And then what you do is you click it where you want to copy, so I'll copy there, and then let go, and then when you move over, let me just make sure all these are down. All layers, current layer. All layers.
Oh, that's really
Right,
nice.
so now it will do it, it's doing it now. So, just making that a little bit bigger. Option, copy that, and then I'll move it across. And you see
Yeah.
see the black?
Yeah.
So matching that black to there,
Right.
yeah, and then you click it on where you want it, and then you move along. So when you click it on, match it, go over it higher. See that brown, making that black line level, and then you click it, and then move up a bit, and then do it again until it's all gone. So we're doing it in stages. See how I've done mine? And then again, if you click it off and on with your eye, that's what it was like before, and that's what it's like now. So we've just got rid of a really horrible mark. Now if you were trying to do that with the spot healing tool, it might have errors, it might not fill it in as well as that, because it might not copy this black line, if you get what I mean. Are you alright with that, Walter? You seem like you're cracking on. Yeah? So that's kind of looking at two ways of doing correcting errors. Now, the same could go with these bits here. You could use the clone stamp, but you're going to have to copy areas, so you might have to copy over here to do that.
If you get a bit of an image that you don't want to copy, like if you, I've got this leaf here.
Yeah.
How do you get back from that?
What do you mean?
But
You just copy, you just press that button again, and you're going to copy.
which button? Escape button.
No, this button again. What you were doing, the thing to get your thing up with. That's the area.
Right.
That's what you're copying. So,
Right.
say I wanted to copy this apple. Watch this. So I want to copy an apple, and I want to put an apple in that corner. You just make the copy, and then when I move here, my apple's now moved over there. So you can copy any part of this image and put it where you want. But what we're doing is we're copying areas that are good and putting them over the top of the bits that are.
Right. To cancel that now.
You just press the same button and copy somewhere else.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The image on my screen looks so bad compared to what's up there. It just doesn't look the same. But we're going off the screen we're all looking at. Everyone all right with that? So we'll move on again.
Yeah.
All good? So basically, I'm not going to do these coffee mark stains things. I mean, we could do it quickly, but just kind of don't want to. You could do that in your own time, dead easily. I'm going to just see what happens if. So the other thing, now you've got two layers. You have to remember what you're doing. So the delete is if you're going to use the. This is how I work. If you're going to use the spot healing tool, I'm always on that deleted one, not on my stamp. Because when you come back to it, you want it to all be the same, if you get what I mean. So I'm just doing an experiment to see how well the spot heal tool does with this coffee stain. So I'm just going to go over it like that and see how it looks. And see how it's made another coffee stain? It's made a duplicate of it instead, which is not good. So I'm just, if I don't like that, if you go to edit and you go undo that, you go back a couple, you can get to the point where it was at undo spot healing, and then it's just back to where it was. Another thing I find with Photoshop is, as long as you don't go too far forward, you know, if you make a mistake, you can just make a couple of steps back and get to where you were.
Can you do that with Command Z?
And say, you just do it anyway. So this here, I don't mind this area here or here. I reckon if I copied that, I'd be able to copy over this. So I'm just going to make sure I'm on the stamp, go onto the stamp function, and then I'm going to copy here and move it across. Because I feel like this area here is miles better than this coffee stain. Now this, you know, the table we're on now is the one I'm actually working on. And I actually don't like that, because see, when I've copied it, it's copied some of the reflection of the leaf. So what I would now do is maybe try and copy somewhere else and just see how it looks. So I've copied there, and now moving across, and see how it's copying the, I'm going to step back, edit, undo. So I'm now trying to copy areas smaller. I've just made that, and I'm just slowly going to move across. The problem with the clone stamp, and you'll see this in competitions when people use it, if they use it too regularly, the judge can see, because they all can see it's been cloned. But if you clone from lots of different, say I got cloned from there and move that down, and I just use it once, it might not work. It's creating shadows, which I actually don't like. But if you clone from more areas, then it means that it's going to look different, and you're not creating the same shape all the time. Now, I don't know if you remember, we cropped this down. Remember we cropped it?
Yeah.
That's not been deleted, because when I do this is another thing, I should tell you this, when you go to the crop tool, see up the top there it says delete crop pixels.
Yeah.
Make sure that's unchecked, because if it's checked, you deleted all your picture when you cropped it. I should have said that. So when you go to the top if you go to that crop, that's unchecked, and it means that when you open the image bigger, it's still there. So if I go to that now, and what I'm going to look at is, we've got an issue with this here, where it's all a mess. Just this, I don't mind that personally, I don't mind that, but here's a bit of a mess. If I suddenly pull this out, we've got all this table here, look how much table we've got there. Probably got to there where we could maybe copy some of this and bring it in. So you can actually, if you know what your image is like, you could copy some of the image in. I'm going to go back. I'm actually not going to do that. That's what we're like. But this is just an exercise for you to do on your own images, so you understand them two functions. So the next thing I'll start looking at, so that's fixed any issues with bits being there. It's not completely finished, but we'll be here all day if I did that. Now I'm going to look at levels, and my levels are going to be, this is light levels, are going to be very selective, and this is where the the masks come in. So if you go to here and you open this up, this opens up a load of functions, and we'll be going to this a little bit. I don't use all these functions. The main ones I use are levels, curves, black and white, and also I use color lookup. They're the main ones that I use. I don't use anything else. I may use saturation as well. So if we click levels, that'll create a new layer, and it'll automatically give us this box here. So if you noticed, it's not a window, it's just that, and that means it's affecting what's going on and you're not putting anything on. And then you have this window, which is the mask window. So if we zoom in so you'll notice that when you click on the layer, you'll get this here, which is the levels. So if you can make it really bright or you can make it really dark, people will know this, I presume. So that's your levels to create a different level. What was I going to say then? It's gone out of my mind. If you want to get back to your navigator, on my computer the navigator's disappeared. You just click on there and you get back to navigator, because I want to zoom in. So I want to zoom in on these grapes here. So these grapes I think are too dark. So is everyone at that where you zoom in on the grapes?
I've got another layer.
It doesn't matter about layers for now, you're just going to zoom in on the grapes where I am. Yep. Happy with that? Right, so everyone's on the grapes. If you go to your layer now, the one we've just made, levels, and then and make sure you're looking at properties in this control panel if it looks like that, because everyone's might look different.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, I've not got the levels on the layer.
Yeah, have you got, right, would you click on down the bottom there, that plus, and then click on it and it'll open up. If you do this on the bottom, Peter, follow what I'm doing, click on the, oh no, I'm saying it wrong, click on this button here. It's my fault that.
So can I get rid of these extra?
Yeah, you just delete them.
Oh.
Just press delete. But don't delete the ones we've done. Sorry, it's my fault that you're pressing the plus. So when you click on that little, what is it? I don't even know how you describe it. A little circle with a little.
The yin and the yang.
Yeah, it's a yin and yang thing.
Should be able to get rid of this.
Press OK. Get rid of that. That's stopping you doing anything.
Yeah. Well,
And then. Just do it like this.
oh, okay.
Then yes.
Yeah, okay.
Delete layer. You don't have that direction to be fair, then you're clicking on that and then you go into levels.
Well, thank you very much.
Are we all okay so far?
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's his patience.
it's alright, it's fine. So we're on the levels and we're going to adjust the level, and we're only adjusting the level to the grapes. Yeah, so we're going to increase this. This is, when you look at that graph, it's showing you that there's loads of information on the darks. You can see, because this side's light, you can see on here, and all the information's gathered in here, so it's saying that the image is quite a dark image. I always work on the dark side. So this mid-range, if you move this up, yeah, my computer's working so slow. So if you move this way, it's going to affect it, and if you move it the other way, it's going to make it brighter. So we're just looking at the grapes. You're not even looking at anything else other than them grapes we've got. And I'm going to adjust this one as well. And I'm just going to get it to a point where I think them grapes look all right now. I think they do look all right. So what we're now going to do is, everyone happy with how the grapes look on their computer? So if you click on that, you click on the icon again. I love the eyes, and you toddle from it being on to being off. And you think, right, that's looking, I can see what's going on in there. So suddenly, look on my screen, loads of information, no information. Yeah. So we're going to turn the eye on, so it's active. Go onto the mask window, which is that white box, and then you're going to press, I think it's Control I, and it'll turn it black. And I'll wait for Neil to get in.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. You don't have to apologise. Have you got a level? Are you up to that point where we've got a level and the levels?
I'm on levels, but I haven't done anything with them.
Right.
I'm zoomed in, I've got levels. but
Yeah.
I don't-
Just increase it so that your grapes that we're on, you can see more detail in the
So
grapes.
increase it out of the eyes,
Yeah,
we'll take
so-
the middle one of it.
I show you what I did. See on here, I moved this one up and I moved that up a little bit as well. And it just makes it so you can see that you're seeing the information from the shadows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Command I on Mac as well.
Yeah, when it's up to that. So once you've got it right, your levels where you think, oh, they look all right,
Yeah.
and to quickly toggle through, look at what mine were like. Super dark.
So that's so to look at your data, you've taken the eye, you've clicked on the eye.
Just to see what it's. If you look at the screen and see what I'm doing,
Yeah.
I'm just looking and saying that's how it was,
Yeah.
and this is how I've made it.
Yeah.
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 Ooh, banging my knee. What I tell you, what I do sometimes do is I sometimes do this. I get that and I go like this, and you're like, what the heck? And I do that on purpose. I make it look a mess because of what I'm going to do now. So if we click on here, and I've made mine look rubbish, yeah, but there's a reason for
So
that.
clicking on the mask.
Yeah, and then you're going to press, what is it on the Mac?
Command I.
Command I, which will switch it black.
Yeah.
So this is how I view the, and I'm sorry if you know this already, but I'm just speaking as if you don't.
Oh yeah.
This is the mask.
You're going to brush it back in. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is the mask. When you turn it off, it's gone. When it's on, it's there. Yeah. So we've turned it off, and we're going to draw bits of it back in, so that we can see. So basically, we've got it black so that you can't see anything, and we're going to bring back that mess that I made.
Yeah.
So if you go to your pen tool, and then you make sure you're on your mask, and then the pen tool functions I've got at the top. I've got my opacities at 15, and I'm going to change the opacity, and you can do it by dropping down, so it's full on.
So where's the pencil?
Say that again.
Pencil.
Pen tool, yeah, sorry. So go on the pen tool, and my flow's at 100, and I don't worry about anything else. I'm on normal on the top, and the type of pencil is got soft edges, not got hard edges. You
Can I
cannot.
just check it's a pen tool? I'm not familiar with pen tool, so we're not brushing it back in. We're using a pen tool.
Well, that is the pen tool. It's a brush tool, yeah.
It's the one that's called history brush tool.
It's the brush tool. Sorry, I call it pen tool, but it's the brush
Okay,
tool.
no,
See what I'm on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on that.
I've got history brush tool.
History brush tool. Click on it. Let me just look. You click. It's got. You click on there. See that little thing? You can hold your finger on it.
Yeah.
No, it's not that. It's the brush. Where's the brush there?
Well,
I mean, look at me glasses
I've got
like-
a pen tool, which looks like a pen nib, is that the one?
It's the one. That, if you look at
It's
where
like a
I am,
brush.
yeah, it's that. I'm just trying to find it on there.
Within that there's the brush and the pencil tool.
Right, so it's the pencil tool.
Pencil tool
No.
or brush tool.
No, brush tool.
Where is it on here? Is it under that? No. Edit tool.
It's not using the full set of tools.
Yeah.
If there isn't, they're all under those three little dots, aren't they?
Yeah, but it's not even doing that. I'm getting a little bit. Let me just see what mine says when I open it up again. It's got pen tool, brush tool. It's just brush tool. Why isn't your brush tool there?
Well, mine doesn't, on the Mac it says brush tool, pencil tool, colour replacement tool, mixable. But
That's the right icon, isn't it? It's just a couple of lines on it.
No, it's not that. It's not that at all.
if you go to the P, pencil tool, the pen tool, which is in there, that comes up as a pen tool.
It's not even on here. No. Look at that. Weird why it's not coming up. No. Well, look at them all now. Thinking, not that, because that's what we've just been using. Not that. There it is. Brush tool. We're on it. I don't know, but it's there now. We're on it. Right, so we're on this pencil. I'm forgetting what I'm doing now. Right, so you're going to zoom. Remember the zoom function with your keys. We're on black. So we're just always making sure in your layer panel you're on black. You're in the right one, because you'll start destructing the things you've done. So you're on black, and you're on that bracket is round. And basically, I'm just going to press on here. But the other thing we have to make sure of is on the bottom side here, when you click onto a mask, you get black and white. So you noticed how the mask was white and it's black, so you have to switch this here, this here to white. Now my clicked off it, is a quick way of doing it, and I think it's X. You just click. Yeah, so if you press X on the keyboard, it's a shortcut to switch it black and white. See, it's changing in the corner here. See that? You press X. Not just X on its own.
No.
Really? Are you on? You're on that? You made sure you're on that.
Well, the other thing is that my image has gone.
Yeah, because you've already clicked on it. Let's just go File.
What mode are you in there? No.
I'll do it another way. There you go. And then make this smaller. It's black, and then we're just going to brush big and this brush size. This brush is so big, you're not seeing what you're doing. Using it, blacken it all. Yeah, that's right. Zoom this out. Right, so you're on for that.
Okay.
Yeah, you're switching it from, so you're on there,
Yeah.
all good, you're on your thing. If you press X on its own, you can switch
Yeah.
the two toggles.
Yeah.
You want it white because that's black, yeah? And then you're going to draw in on the grapes. But you need to make sure before you draw that your thing's the right size. So you can see that crosshair, you know you're the wrong size.
Yeah.
And then you're carefully going to draw on your grapes. Because you're at 100% opacity, it's going to do it fully when you click on it. So if you see my screen when I do it, see how it's just making it look really bad. But I'm really careful not to go on the apple. I don't want the apple to be changed. I just want the grapes. And I'm going around the grapes there, these ones that are dark. I'm actually going to do this, I'm going to do this as well. And it looks absolutely rubbish, this. I'm going to do this one as well. Here.
You get the idea there.
Well, you'll see what happens in a minute when I've done it. So the reason why I've made mine look horrible is because I can definitely see what I'm editing. Do you get what I mean? So if that was a tiny bit on the levels, you wouldn't be able to see what I've done. So now, once I've done that, if I go to my levels window, is everyone with me? I don't want to be. So if I go to properties and I go on and I click off there and I click on the levels, so this is affecting the levels. This is only affecting the horrible bits because this is, you can see the two little, all the little dots on the black thing. Black is nothing, white is seeing something.
Yeah.
If I change this down now, I've got complete control over them grapes. Look at that. So I can now go, right, how bright and how bright do I want the grapes to be? Oh, I can have it like that. And then if I pull out, I go to Navigator again. Or is it Instagram? I can't see because I'm trying to read the screen up there. If I go back out now, I can get a better picture because we want this to be dark and moody, but we want to see the detail in them shadows. So when I go onto here now and go onto the properties, I can play around with that now. I've got complete control over how bright it is in the shadows. And I'll do that on every section. So I'll go into here and go, right, I'll change that. I might change that one. Click off this and you can see what's happened. So you can see that apple there. I think that apple down the bottom here could do with a bit of a lift as well. So then you can go into here, because you know for a fact you've got your levels right. If I zoom in again, I'll keep going on the wrong one, on the apple. So that apple there, I reckon we could get a bit more out of that. Click onto the layer, do that same thing again, just draw nice and carefully on here, look at that coming through. But you have to be careful not to do too much. So you know, if you make a mistake, you just switch it to the other one.
Yeah.
So you switch it black to black and then just draw back on it and it'll get rid of it. Say you found, the other thing is, say you found that this was a bit too bright, if you change your opacity to 50, so it's not as hard, the brush, when you draw on here, it'll be my computer's not letting me have that now. Come on. There we go. If I draw on there now, it's going to do it just a little bit darker because I've got that at 50%, not 100. Now I'm just going to look at that again now and just see whether that has, see that I've just got a little bit more colour in there. If I click off, it's black, and now I've got that. I feel like it's a little too much. So if I go to properties again and look at what the levels are doing, and I just drop this back a little bit more, you can start to balance your image up.
So when you do that process, then you've done your grapes, and then you went in and you used the level to adjust it.
Yeah.
Then you've gone back and you're doing some editing on your apple.
Yeah.
You're happy with your grapes. You're on the apple. Now when you go to the back onto the levels,
Yeah.
and take it off because you think you've overcooked it a little bit.
Yeah.
Does that doesn't affect
It does.
the grapes?
No, it affects everything because I'm on the same layer.
Right.
If I wanted to do the apple on its own, I'd make a new levels layer and would do it again. So say I want to do, we'll do that now. So if I just put on here, I change it.
So if you had the time, you could do one levels for apple, one levels for
Yeah,
grape,
exactly.
one levels for
Yeah, so we've got great. I don't know if I spelled that right, but we're going to do another levels adjustment. So these are all adjustments, individually adjusting bits of your image. So I'm going to now adjust this area here, exactly the same process. So go into here first, make it look awful so I can see what I'm doing. That looks, and it might be a case that you can't actually see a lot in that area, so go to the navigator again and see how I've completely ruined my image, but I've not, because my image is just a layer. Have I got the right thing here? Because it looks terrible. Click off that. And go to properties. I feel like I've moved the wrong one. I have. Move this back.
left slide is right over.
Yeah, that's right. Where's the other one? I'm actually going to delete that because I've gone and delete that again and make a new levels adjustment. And then adjust it this way. That's better. So it really ruined the image. So now you can see all the detail in here. Look at that. So I'm just going to do the same thing, reverse that to black. Ah, it is. And remember I'm recording this, so if there's anything you think, oh, I won't remember, it's all being recorded as well. So all I'm doing is going over these areas now. And I'm not even drawing it, I'm just putting dots in like that, and then I'll adjust it here and just see how it looks. And I'm going to just go out there and I'm going to stop and just see how everyone's got on with that. Let me just get to my navigator again and pull out. So basically I've now adjusted the grapes in here and the grapes there. Have you noticed how I've left this side of the image slightly darker than this side because of the way the light is? So this side's bright, so if I click on there, I've made that light brighter, but on this side I didn't really do that because I still want it to have that dark edge. This is the dark side and this is where the light's coming from. Everyone all right with that, with what
No,
we've done?
sorry, I've tried to label this one,
Yeah,
grapes right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
are you happy with that? So if you click on it and then press that and then you can label it and then where's the name? Or you can just click on the view, double click on the view, you can write it. So that process can be done on any effect in there. So what I've done, if I were to change that apple to red, I could change the apple red using exactly the same process. Is everyone happy up to that point? Sort of.
I don't know how to move this.
What are you trying to move?
I'd like to get over to this left side of the screen.
The whole screen.
Well, it's back to now again.
Click that green thing and it'll open it all the way to the tree.
No,
That's it.
That's what it's after.
Yeah. Sorry, I nearly took your mouse off you. I didn't mean to do that. How are you, Walt? Are you all right with that?
Yeah.
What about yourself? You all right?
The only reason why do you keep detaching from the gear? What can you do to drop pencil with what you, when I use them, they stay at street.
You can move that and move it into here, I think. I don't know how you take that. That's cool. I don't know. I know. You use it.
Well, so for some reason, obviously, I know there's so many different ways, it's obviously set up a little bit.
Yeah,
But
so-
when I'm clicking on to you know, when you say click on it,
Yeah.
and then you pick levels, it's throwing it up there rather than,
Is it?
I mean, I've activated Navigator, so I've got that. What happens is your levels comes up here, but I've got this in here all the time. I don't know why that's there all the time.
You need to make
Anyway.
click that. We need to look at that and just make some different changes. This is all. If you get that will just go right there. But you need to change it how you want to work. And it's one of them, when you do it once, you can forget how you're doing it, you know what I mean? I'd bear with that, because just leave it as it is, because you can still see what's happening. More importantly, are you alright with doing the levels and doing it? Looks like you're spot on with it. Yeah. Right, so you can do that to the whole image. You can just go around every little section and think, we could do it to that leaf, think, we want to lighten the leaf up, we can lighten the leaf up. Did you remember that I didn't like this bit on here, so I'm jumping to something else now. But I'm doing that on purpose because I want to work on other images as well. You see the colours of these? I don't like the colours. So I don't like that, and I don't like that. So exactly the same process we're going to do again. You're going to go to that yin yang, like Walter said, and you open that up. And we're going to choose, what are we going to choose? We're going to choose hue and saturation. And now this will bring another control bar or control function where you've got saturation that you can play with. So we're actually going to change the colour of that grape. And we've got to remember, all we're targeting is that grape there, that bit of, not grape, blackcurrant, yeah? Has everyone got that? Yeah. So this changes the colour. So if you change this, it'll make your image really, really colourful. Yeah. Saturation. We're actually not going to use it for that. We're going to make the colour. We're going to make it all one colour. So you press colorize, that little button there. It'll change the colour, and you can select what colour you want by using this. So it's gone to a purple colour. You can also use. This is in the way, I think. You can use this. Oh, it's not letting me use it. You can use a dropper function if you want to, but we're just going to change it with these colours. So if we click on here, and play around with the colours, and we're just going to try and make it look like the colours that we were working with. So if I click it off and think, right, I want my colour to be similar to this dark, so I need it to be quite dark, so I'll pull it down, turn it on, and I need it to be purple looking. So we just try to match the colour so that it's the same. That looks alright, that. Imagine the whole image is that, and then we're going to do that. We're going to do that same thing again. We're on this levels, which is colour, and we're going to switch it to black. So if I switch that to black now, you're going to see everything except what we've done. And then if you move over to here, now it'll make that colour. So if I just make sure this is white, it'll suddenly make that colour. And you're going to have to make these slight adjustments in the colours to get it right. So see how that's a bit too more like a black currant or black, so it needs a bit more darkness to it. But if we go back into it, we can play around with the darkness and get it exactly how we want it. It's looking alright that now. So you're just playing around to get it so that it blends in with the colours that we've got. So I actually gone really, saturation went down. Bring the saturation back up a bit, but the darkness. So I'm trying to match it so that it matches the rest of the colours.
I was looking for a colour picker.
Yeah, well mine was there, but it was just not letting me do that. There we go, a bit more like that. And this is, again, it's more, that's not looking bad actually when it's like that. I'm just going to raise the, so I've made it really dark, but it's gone from being like that to being a bit darker. And you have to play around. I think you have to play around with the colours to get it exactly how you want it to look. I don't want it to be too red, I want it to be about here. I've pretty much desaturated it all the way. If you look at where my saturation was, I don't know if people are on that. I've made it really dark, and it just needs a slight adjustment. If I click on there now, like that, you can see it's gone from being really red and it's gone darker. And I'd have to adjust that a little bit more, but it's just playing around with those. Yeah, let me see where you're up to, Peter.
I just thought that these bars.
You have to make sure you click on the layer that you're on. Are you alright? You done it as well?
No, I'm lost, but I'll follow it off the recording.
Yeah, but you've got that saturation,
Yeah.
and then if you go on saturation more properties, it's on here, so let's just have a look here. Look at that, I'm showing you more properties. And then you'll make sure there you go. Click on it. Once you click on the level, the layer, it'll give you this. If you know what I mean. And then you can play around with the colours. But exactly the edit we've just done, it applies to every layer the way that we've done it. We've made a change to it, but we've cut a hole out so that it's affecting the bit you want to affect. And then I'm just going to go to my navigator and zoom out and just have a look at what that looks like now. These are tiny, tiny changes. If I click off, look at that, look at them red bits and now look at them. You wouldn't even, they're so small, but they stand out, and now suddenly they don't stand out, and the colours aren't completely correct. You get what I mean? I didn't perfectly make them right, but I would do if I was doing it myself. How is that with like looking at, because we're going to keep going, but how is that with understanding layers and understanding making adjustments? All the time this layer is your image, and it's not been disrupted at all. It's stayed the same, and you've just got all these layers over the top which are changing what the image looks like. Is there any questions at this
I'm
point?
sorry, I just keep losing the brush.
The brush?
I mean, I've just done some extremes that you can
Yeah.
see, but
When you're doing it, you're not on your mask. You need to be on the mask, and then you can use it.
so where's the brush?
So
That's on the right now.
that's the brush there.
Yeah,
That.
yeah.
Just because you're clicking on this isn't the brush. That's the brush.
Okay.
It's got. If you just hover over it, it tells you what it is, but you really do have to make sure you're in the. You're in the. You have to be in this, otherwise it won't do it. You know the framing that's around.
Yeah.
You have to be in that. So you're going to do quite a big edit now, a big thing to it. So if you notice that this on this side looks not the same as this side here. So this is where the lights come in, and it's affected the background. So we're going to match it to here. So how would you go about matching it, do you think? What do you reckon you'd do? We're going to do this one thing and then one other thing, and we'll move on to another image.
Or could you use a gradient?
You could use a gradient, yeah. You could use a gradient going across, but before what would you do? What would you?
You grab the colour that's on the right.
You could do that, so you could use a colour there.
Colour selection.
What I would do, or what we will do, is make a new layer. Just you're on the pen tool. Remember, this pen tool is dead important, or brush tool, whatever you want to call it. And I'm on black, and I'm moving my black to the edge here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this really big. And remember our brush is feathered, so it's not. I'm making it really big. Imagine I was the brush here and I put black on there. What's going to happen? It's going to vignette the corner, isn't it? Like that's. See how that corner's vignetting? It's going darker naturally. So we're going to make these corners go darker naturally. But if I have it at if I have the brush, how much you press down on the thing really hard, it'll ruin it. But if you have it at 10%, if you change that to 10% at the top, the opacity, are you with us?
Yeah.
If you change your opacity to 10% and make sure your image, you can see it, because at the moment you can't see your image, make it small. And this is, again, it's all an experiment to see whether it'll work. You there, Peter?
Yeah.
Just make your image. You go to the navigator up, and then just make your image smaller. Remember that? Yeah. And we're just going to darken it down to the corner down. I think we've got like what have we got on there? Just like that level, it's that icon there, that line. Yeah. Oh, God, it's not that. One of them is, what's your colour selection?
Blue.
Down a bit more, if you run the wheel down. One of them is making it really bright. Rock up a little bit more. That level, put that icon on. Try to bring it up really high. Put that. Okay.
Right.
It's just these levels. Sit back on that normal now. Right, so we're just going to make this a bit darker. So if you're on opacity on 10 and you're on black, and make sure you're in black there. If you just click on the corner once, it'll darken it down. And you click on it again just once, you're slowly darkening. Look at how mine's changed completely. So now this area that's bright is suddenly starting to look like the other side of the screen, but because it's on 10%, it's not doing it drastically, and you can just work slowly and get it exactly how you want it to look. So it's creating a nice vignette on the side, and you can do it on this side as well, and it'll create a ball so that when you're looking at it, so basically the middle of the image here, you want the light to be so the viewer looks at that image where you want him to look, or her. And also we've just got rid of all of that suddenly. So all I've used is a pen tool like that, and it's just suddenly created, it's changed the colours of it, and all it is black that I've just drawn in. And it's just, and I see I've made a new layer here. I'd probably call that vignette.
So if you did that then, Justin,
Yeah.
you get your vignette. If you thought, because all the images are a bit different, my image is slightly darker than what you've got on there. So
Yeah.
I think as much as that's having an effect,
Yeah.
I find that the middle, like you've just said there, the light in the middle draws the eye where you want to go. Well, I think mine is a little bit dark in the middle. So what can you do to enhance the middle? Can you do the opposite?
Yeah.
Put white and then just give that a boost in the middle.
I would do an overall levels adjustment and pull this underneath here because you want that to be on the top, and then we're just going to push it up. Right. So now, yeah, just keep keeping there, I can see what we're saying. So now it's a bit brighter, so now it's more like what we were looking at on that game. Yeah. And then you're on this, just hide that again, and then you'll be able to do what we're doing and make it look like that. Everyone's computer screen is different. What I'm looking at on my screen here looks nothing like that. So I'm editing off that screen, if you know what I mean. It looks terrible on here. But do you get the idea of what I've done there? So suddenly, in your head you're thinking, oh, that might be a right mess, that I'll have to use different colours. When actually, when you just you use a black pen, it actually looks quite good, that, and it's also kept all the detail of the texture of that backdrop. If I zoom in on here, to edit, to change, to start messing around with the texture on that backdrop would ruin it. You'd start to see the edit then, if you get what I mean. And in my head, I'm always thinking, all these adjustments that I'm making them very minor, so that when someone looks at it, they can't tell that Photoshop's been used. The final thing I'm going to do on this image, because I don't want to spend loads of time on this one, is a thing called colour lookup. Have you heard of LUTs? LUTs. So this is a big thing about LUTs, but if you click colour lookup when you go on the yin and yang, and again you get that same thing happening where you get it opens up and it gives you a box. Now on here, in this box here, see it says opacity there. So if you change that opacity to 25, and this is how much that layer is being seen. See the opacity there, if you tap 25 in, I normally, it's 25 and 30 I put in there. So basically it's allowing what we're going to affect the whole image with, allowing it to only come through at 25%. And then if we drop this window down at the top, is everyone on this? Yeah. You get all these presets that Photoshop gives you. Now if you click on one, it'll change it, and it'll put a little box, and then if you press your icon downwards, it'll start changing the image. And if you look at the image and you can find some, you'll go, oh, I like that. So this is changing the overall look of the.
So what do you use to scroll down?
If it's in, on the top like that, you make sure you click on there, and if you go down, press down, it should change it. Is it doing it? No. It should have a little, when you do it, it should have a little box around it, what it might not. If it's not, just click them like that. Click them with your finger. Just don't understand why it's. Mine's got a little. Oh, you can see on the screen, mine's got a blue box around it. On the big screen, see under there, it's a blue box around, but don't worry about it.
On the one right at top right of the look.
Here, it's got a little blue box around it, and if you can't do it, just drop it down and click it yourself. Are you on that? Yeah, you're on it, yeah. And have you got yours on? On the box, and just see if it keeps it. And click off it again. But if you just select each one and see what it does to the image, it'll change. Every time you click on another one, it'll change it slightly. But you don't have to, you're just clicking down. These are changing it, the whole image. You don't need to do any masking or anything. Just go down and click. Yours
I press colour look up so I don't get that and get some entirely different. So
no, yeah, but yours is, isn't it?
we're going to create a layer, went to the right hand side,
Yeah.
this one, to that one.
There you go. Wrong. It just wasn't high enough. It was there.
Well, that's not that.
It is. Cancel.
Oh, what's it?
That there. So we're talking about. See, we're looking at this here, up here, this bit.
Ah, right.
That's
okay,
what we're looking at.
Okay,
So that's
that's
there, yeah. So it's not. All it is a pre. It's just a.
Okay.
It's just a preset, and you're just going through to see what it looks like. Now, I actually always like Foggy Night. You put Foggy Night in, and you might, if you know some of my work, you'll see how see how that's like how it is, and you put Foggy Night on, and it creates a bit more mood.
Well, it's foggy now.
It's foggy. I think it's Foggy Night.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you put Foggy Night on, and then if you increase that saturation, you'll be able to see how it looks. You know, the opacity, should I say. So see what I'm doing. So if I put that fully on, it looks rubbish. But if I back it off to what we had, 20 odd, again looking subtle, I feel like what that does to your image is in keeping with the style of the shot, if you get what I mean, because you try to make it look like the Rembrandt-y kind of look. It looks, and you can select any of them. You could do it more than once. So say you wanted this foggy look, but then you wanted to add a bit more colour to it, you could add another one.
I presume you can add to those lookup tables.
Yeah, you can download them and put them in. So then looks, you
I've
can.
seen something.
So you see people online selling looks, and that's where you can drop them into. But I just use the ones that Photoshop give you.
Do you watch a guy called Young Viewers?
Yeah, I do.
He's
good.
He's mad on these. He puts three on.
Yeah, exactly.
He puts three on.
So you
I've
can,
got two on now. I think he goes edgy and Foggy Night.
yeah,
And I'll tell you what them's the ones
he likes.
He likes.
It's like, so I
only same as you. He only does 18-20%.
exactly. So you just do it subtly.
10 cents.
And then- Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, is everyone happy with all the, I mean, we could edit it more and more, but I want to change the image now and move on.
I think we're good.
Yeah. So that's my process I use for everything. The only other thing that I'll do to this is I'd save the image as a Photoshop file so it doesn't get lost, and also I'd save it as a JPEG so I can share it online or for a competition or whatever.